Hello, everybody. It is Monday, January 26th, and welcome back to the Nick Watkins Show. I'm Nick Watkins. Let's get into it. We got both championship games to talk about. The Giants actually did something, and the Warriors also played yesterday and will play again tonight. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the AFC Championship game. This was a crazy game, okay? And it's crazy for a different reason than the NFC Championship game was. A snow game, which is always fun. Let's just get into it here. In the first half, and really throughout the whole game, this is a defensive dominated game. Okay, and even before the snow came and before the weather played a huge factor, the defenses were preventing any running from happening, any running of the football from happening, and they were getting pressure on the quarterbacks. Drake May was under a ton of pressure. Stidham was also being forced into some uncomfortable throwing positions and stuff like that. Defense dominated this game. Okay, so let's just get into the skeleton here, the rundown of what happened, and then we'll make our points along the way. So, the Broncos, they were the ones who struck first in this game, executing two shot plays. They had a big pass, 52-yard pass to Mims, and then Cortland Sutton was on the receiving end of the first and only touchdown of the game for the Denver Broncos. They led 7-0. Okay, then the Patriots again punted. The Broncos got it back, went down the field, and they were forced to make a decision on whether to go for it or to kick the field goal, a short field goal on 4th and 1, deep in the Patriots territory. They elected to go for it, and this is the key, one of the two key plays in the game here that allowed the Patriots to win this football game. They decided to go for it. So it was 4th and 1 from deep in Patriots territory. A field goal would have made it a 10-0 game, a two-score game, and the Patriots weren't moving the ball at all. That could have played into the decision to be aggressive and go for it. And if they were to convert, 14-0 obviously is better than 10-0. It's still a two-score game, though. They decided to go for it. They ran a pass play and play action, trying to get to the running back in the flat. Didn't work. Patriots all over it and incomplete. And the Patriots take over on downs. That was the first of two key plays, in my opinion, that changed the game entirely. Then the Broncos had the ball back. Okay, after the Patriots punted again. A lot of punting in this one. A lot of punting. And the Broncos and Jared Stidham turned the ball over. It was a fumble. It was a really poor decision. I don't know what the heck he was thinking, to be completely honest with you. But he was under pressure. There was nobody really in the area, but he was trying to do a little shovel pass, and it went backwards. Okay, it wasn't initially ruled as a backwards pass, but they overturned it after looking at it, and they decided it was a backwards pass, and the Patriots took over right there at that spot where he had fumbled because the play was blown dead. So the Patriots get the ball in major plus territory. First and goal, I think. At least it was from the 10. And then Drake May ended up running it in, using the Broncos' D-line aggressiveness against them on a little quarterback draw. Drake May ran it in for the Patriots' only touchdown of the game. And now it was tied at 7. And that's why I say those two plays were the key plays in this game, because that is a 10-point swing in favor of the Patriots. And if you look at the final score, what was it? 10-7. All of those points, well, yeah, it's a 10-point swing because the Broncos missed on 3 points and the Patriots got the touchdown. So that's a 10-point swing in favor of the Patriots. Totally flipped the game entirely. It changed it in a drastic way. And that's how the Patriots managed to tie up the game and eventually take the lead later. We'll get to that, though. We got to talk about the missed kicks in this game. There were a lot of missed kicks. Will Lutz was 0 for 2, or 0 for 1 on field goals. He missed one, and one was blocked. And then Borregales for the Patriots, he was 1 for 3, missed from 46 and 63, which is, it's tough. And the Patriots, though, at the start of the second half, they had the ball. They had an inspiring drive. Went down the field. They were actually running the football, converting on third down until they got down to the goal line and decided to kick a short field goal, 23-yarder. and that was a almost 10-minute drive that ended in a field goal for them taking the lead, and that's when the weather started. That's when the snow started falling, and the snow and the weather was the MVP of this game for the Patriots. After the Patriots took the lead, the snow started falling like crazy. It was a blizzard out there in Denver, and it totally affected the game. It was basically impossible to kick the football. The offenses were already struggling when it was clear and sunny, and the defenses were, getting the pass rush home and stopping the run very effectively. Both D lines dominated, especially the Broncos D line was all over Drake May. But if you add in a blizzard there, it was nearly impossible to move the football, and that's why the score stayed the way that it was, 10-7, ended up being the final score. The weather, a huge factor in this game, and that's the MVP of the game is the weather in Denver favoring the New England Patriots, who had the lead at the time of the snow starting to fall. There was not a single made kick after the snow started to fall. Missed field goals, blocked field goals, and then at the end, Jared Stidham threw an interception. Drake May got a first down with his legs, icing the game for New England. And New England advances to Super Bowl 60, their 11th conference championship. And the Patriots win the AFC championship game. I mean, it's just my thoughts on this, like the deeper thoughts. Just like it's so hard if you think about this game too much, your brain starts to get a little bit confused, a little bit rattled because this game was just it felt like watching a dream. Like you're watching it. It looked like a snow globe, first of all, and like the play on the offenses, like they couldn't move the ball at all. It's like when you're in a dream and you try and run and you're running in slow motion. That's what watching this game felt like. It felt like the offenses were moving in slow motion and the defenses were moving in normal speed and just wreaking havoc. If you are a fan of defense, then you definitely enjoy this game. But it was definitely it was a trippy game for sure. But the Patriots won and they advance. Do I think it would have been different with Bo Nix instead of Jared Stidham? Um, I mean, obviously, yeah, it would be different. I mean, because he's a different quarterback and probably would have affected the game. But how different is the question? And both offenses were struggling to begin with before the weather happened. I think Bo Nix maybe wouldn't have made some of the errors that Stidham made, the turnovers, the interception at the end, the fumble that gave the Patriots their plus field position to score. But then again, he might have made those mistakes anyway. So you definitely, it's one of those, you know, I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know type situations. That's a slippery slope trying to get into that because if you point out one detail, one specific play that happened, then you say this. If this went the other way, it would change the game. Well, you take any play in particular, any play out of context, or even in context, and you say if this was the complete opposite, it would have changed the game. Like obviously, it would have changed the game. That's not what happened. But anyway, the Patriots advance. Um, it wasn't a convincing win for New England. Um, none of the well, that's not necessarily true. They definitely earned all their wins, but none of the playoff wins for the Patriots. Um, when it's all set, when the game is over, and you say, "Wow, the Patriots just looked great," and I feel better about their chances. Every game's got a little bit worse, to be completely honest with you. At least from an offensive standpoint. From the defense has just gotten better and better. Um, as the playoffs have gone on. They've done a fantastic job. Um, we'll see, I guess. It's a tough matchup. Um, it's going to be an interesting matchup. But we got 2 weeks to talk about that. We got to pace ourselves here. We got another game to talk about as well. And then some other stuff. But this game, this NFC Championship game, was definitely the highlight of the day yesterday. And so far, the highlight of the playoffs. This was a back and forth, entertaining game. And, you know, what else would you expect from a Rams Seahawks game in this football season? So let's go into it. I was live streaming this game. I know none of you were there except for Aaron, but my clips are up. That's another thing. Before we get into that, TikTok is being super weird. I think TikTok is broken. I'm not gonna lie to you. My For You page sucks. But I try and post clips. I uploaded 10 clips on Saturday. And that might have been an issue because now the content checks are taking 12 hours to do. So all the clips that should be up are up on YouTube Shorts. That's not true, but the stream highlights are on YouTube Shorts. All the clips that I take from today's episode will be on YouTube Shorts. TikTok is being problematic though, so we'll see how it goes there. But if you want to watch some short clips, they're going to be on YouTube Shorts. Um, and TikTok, I guess we'll just wait and see if that gets resolved. But we got to talk about this game. This game was incredible. Let's just go through it, big play by big play. Seattle scored first, so similar to the Broncos, they had a bomb play to their speed. They're actually their speedy kick returner. Both kick returners caught big passes to set up touchdowns in both games. But the Rams started with the ball, didn't do anything, or did they? Yeah, the Rams started with the ball, punted. Seattle 50-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed. He's been big in this playoffs. He's really helped Seattle this year. What a great acquisition that was. But he set it up for Kenneth Walker for a rushing touchdown. 7-0 Seattle strikes first. After that, basically the whole half went by until the 2-minute warning. There were field goals exchanged. The Rams hit 2 field goals. The Seahawks hit 1. So it was 10-6 Seattle. The Rams had the ball. They drove down the field, and at the 2-minute warning, they found Kyren Williams for a receiving touchdown. Stafford to Kyren Williams, and they took the lead 13-10. Now, this next kind of time part of the game, this next part of the game is very important for Seattle and really helped them get the edge in this one. So Seattle would receive the ball at half, but before that happened, they had 2 minutes to go and get some points on the board, down by just 3. So they could have gotten a field goal to tie it up, but instead they go all the way down the field thanks to Jackson Smith and Jigba and Sam Darnold connecting on a couple of big plays, eventually leading to a JSN touchdown. Now it's 17-3 Seattle at the half. Seattle would get the ball to start the second half, like I said. So they had a chance to double up. And if you're not familiar what that means, is you get points right before the half, and then you get the ball out of the halftime again without the other team even seeing the field, the other offense rather, and you go score again. And sometimes it's just 2 field goals getting 6 points. Sometimes it could be a 14-point swing, and that's what happened here. So the Rams defense actually did their job and prevented that from happening, at least to begin with. They forced the punt, and the punt was muffed. And I think that right there, the muffed punt from the Rams, that's the key play in this game because that allowed Seattle to get a touchdown immediately the next play, allowing them to double up on points. 14-point swing. It went from 13-10 to 24-13 without Matthew Stafford seeing the field in the first half to the second half. And Seattle, that allowed them to go up to by 2 scores. They're up by 11 points. And even though the Rams managed to fight their way back into it and eventually make it a 1-score game and then having the ball and it was a 1-score game, Seattle, this was big for Seattle's advantage. And it gave them a little tiny bit of a cushion. But, they might not have needed that. But anyway, we'll get into that later. After this muff punt, that's when the scoring started turning up and both offenses turned up to the max and they started going down the field with force. And they were running the ball, they were throwing the ball, they were doing whatever they wanted off the play action for the Seahawks especially and the Rams as well. Both teams were utilizing play action very effectively, getting it to their star receivers, getting it to their awesome running backs. The offenses were on another level in the second half. So like I said, actually after the muff punt, the Seahawks scored to Jake Bobo, and then the Rams responded very quickly. Less than 4-minute drive to Devontae Adams, a big catch to get him down to the 1, and then another catch for Devontae to get into the end zone. Now it's 24-20. This is a big non-key play in the game. Like it didn't happen, but it's a big moment. The Rams would down 24-19 right after the touchdown. They could take the 2-point, they could try to go for 2 to make it a field goal game, 24-21, or they could kick the extra point and make it 24-20, which is a touchdown game. A field goal will do you no good in terms of getting the lead or trying to get the lead. So I think they should have gone for 2. And I don't know why they didn't, because in that situation, you want to go for 2. Um, I don't know if they just didn't feel confident. Maybe they didn't feel confident, but I mean, you got to have a play to run on the 2 yard line. You just scored from the 1 yard line. You got to have another play that you can run to score from just a yard further back. Especially, it's like a yard is not that much. If you're throwing the ball, it doesn't even matter, right? The distance, if it's 1 or 2, running a different story. But they probably would have thrown the ball there. It's just a little, and that doesn't makes barely a difference. Um, and they didn't go for two. They went for one. They went for the extra point, which they converted. So it's 24-20. And I think they should have gone for two. That's me personally. I think you got to be aggressive in that situation, and it eventually would come back to bite them. So then the Seahawks go down the field and respond to that response. Cooper Kupp catching a touchdown on his former team, who released him before the season started in the NFC Championship game. That's a big story as well, kind of a little bit of a revenge um, opportunity there on that play. He definitely contributed there. So now it's 31-20. Rams back down 11, and the Seahawks came up with the stop on third down, and Reek Woolen, who had a great rookie season and ever since then has been a liability in my opinion. He made a big mistake. He got a taunting penalty after the incompletion on 3rd and 12, giving the Rams a fresh set of downs and allowing them to score a touchdown. And this is kind of the parallel to the Rams muff punt, although I think the Rams muff punt had a much bigger impact on the game because the Seahawks had scored before then, and the Rams, you know, it allowed them to double up, make it a two-score game. But this was a big mistake for the Seahawks. Pretty much the only mistake that they made, um, you know, technicality wise, and like, that kind of stuff. Like not on. It was kind of the only big mistake they made. Um, that mattered. I'm trying to say there was the only big mistake they made, and it allowed them, the Rams, to take a shot at the end zone. And Puka Nakua made an incredible catch um, for a touchdown. It was a great catch. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Go watch the whole game highlights. They're incredible. Um, but yeah, that happened a lot. A team would make a mistake, the other team would capitalize on it on the very next play. When the Rams muffed the punt, the Seahawks scored the next play. After this penalty, the Rams scored the next play. Um, big. It was big for momentum, especially, and the Rams once again got it to 31 to 26 would have been the score at the time. And once again, they decided to kick the extra point instead of going for two. And this is later in the game. This is this is in the third quarter with 2 minutes remaining. Okay, and so you still have a whole quarter to make that up. And they decided to kick the extra point. Now this is where the not going for two comes back to bite them, because now they have it. The Rams have it again. We're going to 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Rams have a 4th and 1 at the 26 of Seattle, and they're down by 4 points. A field goal from here is like 40 yards, which is pretty. Maybe even it's probably even less than that. That's a duel. That's a makeable kick for sure. Makeable kick, and I mean, he made one from 40 earlier in the game. And instead, 4th and 1, they have to go for it. And they actually convert it. And the way they converted it was very fascinating. Matthew Stafford looking to throw the football, forced up in the pocket, and he was forced so far up that he decided to take off and run. He rolled over a tackle and managed to pick up the first down. Big play there. Then the Rams got down to 4th and 4 from the 6 yard line. This is a like 20-yard field goal. If they were down by 3, there are 5 minutes left in the game at this point. That's not a lot of time. Especially considering how the Seahawks have been moving the ball to that point. They can chew a ton of clock if they get the ball back, and they did get the ball back, failing to convert on the 4th down. The Rams turn it over on downs. We got to mention one other thing before this happened, though. The reason they were in that 4th and 1 situation to begin with, or I don't know if it was the 4th and 1, but it was one of those. It was before one of the 4th downs. There was actually a big drop from Parkinson He dropped a pass. He could have scored on the pass, to be completely honest. He had a lot of room to run, but a big drop at a big moment in the game forced the Rams to have to go for it. Even though they converted on the first one, they couldn't on the second one. Interesting play call. McVay ran down the sideline like he wanted to call timeout, but then eventually just let the play go, and maybe that was probably a mistake. So then the Seahawks managed to burn 4.5 minutes off the game clock before they eventually had to punt, and it was a good punt. Got it down to the 7 yard line. So the Rams now trailing by 4. Field goal does you no good. Should have gone for it. Um, they had 25 seconds, or rather 31 seconds to go. Or did they start again? The 7 yard line to go 93 yards. Had to go 93 yards in 30 seconds. They actually managed to get it to Nakua and then spike it with 11 seconds. And then Nakua managed to get it up past the 50 yard line on the next catch, but he was brought down inbounds, sealing the game for the Seahawks and sending them to the Super Bowl. I believe it's the fourth NFC championship for the Seahawks that they've won. Um, and it was an incredible game. Another great game between the Seahawks and the Rams. And there's a whole bunch to talk about from this game. So that was what happened in it. I mean, sure there were missed opportunities, sure there was mistakes, but I think the big story and the big story for the Seahawks seemingly all postseason is Sam Darnold. And I didn't even mention him in the rundown. I mean, I mentioned him, sure. He was involved in all the touchdown passes, but I've been very, very, very critical of Sam Darnold, doubting him, um, saying that he can't get it done in clutch moments. And in the biggest game of his life, to go to the Super Bowl, he showed up and he was incredible, to say the least, man. He was 25 for 36, 346 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. He was about as good as you can be. He was very, very good in this game. And in my defense, all we had to go off of for Sam Darnold was his track record, which, you know, pointed to being awful in the clutch, in clutch games and big moments. And I've said it before as well, but and this certainly I don't want to say it's like the final nail in the coffin, but if he wins the Super Bowl for sure. But this is, as long as he doesn't play like horribly, then in the Super Bowl, then the narrative of Sam Darnold being a choker is gone. Okay, I mean this is the biggest game of his life, and he was magnificent. He did not make any mistakes. He did not turn the ball over. I don't. Did he even take a sack? He took three of them. Okay, so but he did. He 346 yards and 3 touchdowns in the biggest game of his life. I think that narrative has been changed completely. It's going the other direction now. Obviously, there still is potential and time for it to reverse back again, especially if he plays bad in the Super Bowl. But at least for right now, the Sam Darnold choking narrative is gone. And if it keeps up like this, we're probably not going to bring it up again. Um, there are other questions. Is he elite or not? But does that really matter, though, if you're going to the Super Bowl? Speaking from experience as a Jimmy Garoppolo fan when he was on the 49ers, if your quarterback can get you to a Super Bowl and he plays well in the games that get you to the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter if he's elite or not. And it's all about team success at the end of the day. And he'll tell you that. Every quarterback in the league will tell you that, at least if they're a good quarterback. Um, it's it's about the team success. And for Sam Darnold, his team is the Seattle Seahawks, and they're the NFC champions. As much as it pains me to say that, but the Seahawks played a great game. Defense showed up in the first half. The offense was there throughout, and the Seahawks should be very proud of this performance. They did a great job. They've done what they needed to do against us, and then against a much tougher opponent in this season against the Rams. They outperformed them. Sam Darnold outdueled the probable MVP winner, and they're going to the Super Bowl. So congrats to them. I'm not I'm not salty. I'm not, there's just a tiny bit, but we're not gonna. It's not. This is not the place for me to express my displeasure in the Seahawks' success. That's that can be saved for a little. We got 2 weeks to talk about how much this hurts. But let's talk about the Rams. Speaking of how much it hurts, the Rams. We said Sam Darnold was fantastic. Matthew Stafford might have been even better. 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was 22 for 35. He was great off the play action. He was airing it out. Um, Matthew Stafford balled out in this game, and this loss is it's the farthest, if in terms of who to blame for the Rams' loss, Matthew Stafford is probably the person that deserves the least amount of blame. He should have no blame at all. If you're saying Matthew Stafford lost this game for the Rams, then you don't know ball, my friend. Okay, I think every player on the Rams offense was great in this one. I mean, and as well for the Seahawks, you got to give JSN his flowers, even though he had 10 catches for 153 yards and 1 touchdown. K9, 19 carries, and he had 4 catches, combining for 111 total yards and a tutty. Cooper Kupp touchdown. Jake Bobo had a touchdown. Rashid Shaheed had 1 catch for 51 yards. It's a pretty good average, 51. But for the Rams, Nakua, 9 catches, 169 yards and a touchdown. That dude is awesome. Devontae Adams, 4 for 89 and a touchdown. Kyron Williams, 10 catches, or 10, sorry, he had 10 rushes and 2 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Blake Corum, 9 carries and 3 catches for 79 yards. Colby Parkinson, aside from the drop, 3 for 62. The Rams offense was very good. The kicker didn't miss a kick, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. Um, as well for Jake Myers, he was 1 for 1 and 4 for 4. The offenses for both teams in this game played fantastic, especially from the quarterback position, Darnold and Stafford, and their number one options, Nakua and Smith and Jigba, played very, very well in this game, and they left it all out there in the field. And they both offenses should be proud of how they played, even though the Rams lost. They should be proud, and the Seahawks should be proud because they won and they're going to the Super Bowl. Both offenses were great in this one. As for the defense, gave up a lot of yards, 488 for the Rams, 421 for the Seahawks. Both teams moved the ball very well. 26 first downs for the Rams, 24 for the Seahawks. The Rams were 1 for 8 on third down. That's a big, big thing in this game. The Seahawks were much, much better, 7 for 13. But the Rams had 26 first downs, only one of them coming on third down, which means they were ahead of the sticks, and they were moving the ball very well in the opening downs. Yeah, both offenses were great. The defenses, they let up a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards, but they made some that the Seahawks defense made the plays when it mattered, and that can be, interpreted as the difference in the game. Just a wild game, wild game. So, as for the Rams and Broncos, great seasons that came to an end. For the Rams, I feel like for both teams it definitely hurts. I mean, you can get into the whole, you know, which team is hurting more, but that's like, shout out to my bio professor. That's like comparing a what do you say, pizza to a burrito, right? It doesn't add up. Or you could say apples to oranges, which is the common expression. I look like an idiot right now. Um, yeah, whatever. We got 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. Patriots, Seahawks, Super Bowl. So we're gonna pace ourselves here. We're not gonna talk about that too much right now. I'm not gonna get into that because we got 2 weeks to break it down in its entirety and really get into the nitty gritty aspects of the game and how it's gonna go. So as for these two games, the Rams Seahawks game was by far the better game, but they were both enjoyable in their own way, and I enjoyed watching them. And We're down to the last two. Football season is almost over, so we should definitely savor the remaining weeks we have left. Now, we got to get into other stuff. Holy moly, we're 30 minutes in. Um, the Giants did something. Okay, the San Francisco Giants made a signing. Yes, we made a signing that's more expensive than the movie theater we bought. We signed a center fielder. We signed Harrison Bader, and I actually really like this move. I like it a lot. Actually, Harrison Bader is, if you're not familiar, came up with the Cardinals, then went to New York, and then the Mets. So the other New York. So went to the Yankees, and then the Mets, and then the Twins, and then was traded to the Phillies, and now he's with us in San Francisco. So he just signed with us today. That happened today. Harrison Bader is a center fielder. He's more known for his glove, but his bat was very good last year, especially when he got traded to Philadelphia. I like Harrison. Actually, I did not like Harrison Bader when he was on the Cardinals. I could not stand the guy. But now he's the Giant. Now I like him a lot. Um, so yeah, he's a center fielder, great glove, fast guy. His bat is there. At least it was last year. I think the most important part of it is he's a great clubhouse guy. He has high energy. He's a fan favorite. Wherever he goes, the fans love him. He plays with a ton of energy. He plays for his teammates. He's a great guy, a great teammate. I'm super excited we have him. I think it's a great signing for the field and for morale. The Giants' outfield was lacking in just a little bit, and I feel like this signing makes it a complete outfield. The real question is, what does this do for outfield positioning? Okay, so we have Harrison Bader is probably a better defender than Jung Hoo Lee, and I'm not really sure. I feel like they each have their strengths and they each match up. They both of them can play center field very well. Now, if who is it going to be playing center field though? That's a tough question to answer. I think just first thoughts, the person you want in right field at Oracle is very challenging. They have to know how to play it. Yaz was very good at it. Hunter Pence is very good at it. Um, I think, and I'm not completely sure about this. I think Jung Hoo Lee has the better arm of the two, and I'd probably rather have him in right field. Because you don't want Ramos over there. You want Ramos in left field. The other interesting thing is maybe Ramos, who is not the greatest defender, he's probably below average. Does he move to designated hitter? Against if he does he move to designated hitter against left-handed hitters because Eldridge won't be in the lineup? That might be it. Maybe Bader won't be playing every day. Maybe he'll just face lefties, but he should be playing every day. He's a great player. We gotta figure out a way to get him in the lineup. If Ramos moves to DH, and when you put Bader or you would put Gil. So yeah, okay, just for reference, you have Bader, Lee, Ramos, Gilbert, and Matos. Um, hmm, would you put Bader in center? You put the thing about if you put Matos too. Matos can also play center. He's a good defender. Maybe you put Bader in left, Lee in center, and Matos in right. Or you could just interchange it depending on who's doing what that day. If Ramos is DHing, if Ramos is in the lineup, he'd be in left field, and then you got to choose between Bader and Lee because you probably don't. We have a good this. You know what? Those are good problems to have. And I think I like his signing a lot for Harrison Bader, especially because he's a great clubhouse presence. He's kind of crazy like Drew Gilbert. I think he's going to be a good leader. I think he's going to be a good guy for this team to have. It's a 2-year deal, $20.5 million. I like it a lot. I like that we did something. I like to know that we're alive and we're trying to do stuff. Um, and there's still potential for improvement, especially at second base, especially in the pitching staff. We need some relievers, man. We need some starting pitching. We could use anybody that with a functioning arm. Um, it's a good signing for the Giants. I'm very happy about it. Let's try and wrap this up, though. We got the Warriors played yesterday. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 111 to 85. This is the biggest this is a big deal for the Warriors. It's the first win since Jimmy Butler got hurt, and we stomped on a very good Timberwolves team. The Timberwolves are 27-19. Now we're 26-21, and we stomped on them. And we went on a 21-6 run from the halfway through the third to the end of the third. We went on a big run. Um, we shot the ball well. Not the best from three, but we shot the ball well. The Timberwolves turned the ball over 25 times. We had 25 points off of turnovers to those 13 points for the Timberwolves. We had points in the paint. We had 20 steals. It's a lot of steals. Um, we did a good job. We executed. I think the best part about it is in our first win since Jimmy Butler got hurt. Steph had 26, but we had contributions up and down the lineup. When Steph wasn't on the floor, we were still increasing our lead and playing good team basketball, especially on the defensive side of the ball against a very good Timberwolves team. That's the part that makes me the most optimistic and the most happy and satisfied with this win is that it was a great team game when we really needed one against a very good opponent. So that's a great sign for the Warriors. The Warriors play again tonight against the Timberwolves again. Because there was the rescheduling. That's at 6:30 on Peacock. Do the Sharks play tonight? No, they do not. Um, yeah, we gotta wrap this up though. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and go Warriors tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.